Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into something specific.
Okay.
We've got this collection of ancient texts, and they all circle around one pretty critical question. How do you tell the real deal from, well, deliberate deception?
Yeah, how do you sort the genuine from the fake?
Exactly. And our mission today isn't just to, read through them. It's about giving you a practical framework, almost like a shortcut to discernment based only on these sources. The texts you shared, they lay out three core kind of observable criteria for spotting what they call false prophets. We're pulling out that checklist, focusing purely on the measurable stuff they mentioned.
That's right. And these sources are very clear that this isn't about like a gut feeling or just intuition.
Right.
It's a process, verification. And the framework they give us really rests on three testable things. First, the results you can see in a person's life and work what they call fruit.
Okay.
Second, the actual content of their teaching, their doctrine. And third, their fundamental testimony, specifically about the figure of Christ.
Okay, let's unpack that first one then. It's probably the most famous bit, isn't it? From Matthew 7. Discern them by their fruit. So in today's terms, this is basically checking their actions and the outcomes.
It's entirely about observable results over time, consistency. The analogy they use is agricultural, obviously, but it says a lot about integrity.
Like the grapes and thorn bushes thing.
Exactly that. The source asks, do people gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? It's simple. The nature of the tree shows up in what it produces.
So if the person, the source, is kind of flawed or deceptive underneath it all, the long-term results, their work, their character, that'll eventually show the negative stuff.
Precisely. A good tree can't keep producing bad fruit, and a bad tree just isn't capable of producing consistently good fruit. But, and this is key, the fruit test needs patience. It's not instant. You have to watch the long-term tangible results. What does their ministry actually do? Do people end up feeling manipulated, financially worse off, spiritually trapped? That sort of negative, toxic outcome. That's the bad fruit these texts warn you about.
And what makes that tricky, I suppose, is that the initial appearance can be really misleading. Matthew 7 warns right at the start, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing.
But inwardly, they are ravenous wolves.
Yes. So the deception is intentional. They're trying to look harmless or holy or virtuous on the outside.
That hidden corruption masked by outward piety or even success, it's a constant theme in these texts. They present as something they're not. That appearance is actually part of the lie. It's meant to make you drop your guard.
That's a really good point. So if we can't always trust the outward look or even the immediate results because fruit takes time, then we really have to scrutinize the message itself.
Yes.
Which brings us nicely to those other two checks, the more theological ones.
Right. So, test number 2 zooms in on the content of the message. Let's call it the doctrine check. Does what they teach actually align with the established texts they claim to represent?
So,
The Apostle Paul, writing in Galatians, gives this incredibly strong warning. He basically says, don't listen to anyone preaching any other gospel.
anyone?
Yeah.
Wow.
He says, but even if we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you than what we have preached to you, let him be accursed. It's harsh, but the point is clear.
So it doesn't matter how charismatic they are or if they seem divinely inspired.
Nope. None of that matters if the message itself is a distortion or if it just deviates completely from the core teachings found in the texts. It's measured against a fixed external standard.
That sets a really high bar for consistency. Okay, but then test number 3, the testimony of Christ 1.
Yeah.
That feels even more specific. It's laid out in 1 John 4, and it seems laser-focused on their view of Jesus' divine nature. Why is that specific belief the absolute deal-breaker for these writers?
Well, that really is the crux of it, isn't it? For these sources, a genuine spirit, a true messenger, is defined by this core confession, that they confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh.
The incarnation.
The incarnation, exactly. The belief that the divine Christ literally became human. That specific point.
And if they deny that,
Or downplay it. If a prophet denies that or minimizes it, the sources see it as way more than just a small theological difference. It's treated as a fundamental rejection of the whole story they're based on.
I see.
The text is incredibly direct here. Any spirit that does not confess Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. Well, it says that spirit is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world.
Wow. Okay, so that denial is like the clearest theological red flag for these authors.
It's presented as the definitive marker of falsehood, yes.
Okay, so we've got the 3 pillars. Fruit, their actions and outcomes, doctrine, message, consistency, And testimony, that core theological confession about Christ. Got it. Now,
Yeah.
let's talk tactics. Because this part really flips the script on how we usually think prophets prove themselves, doesn't it?
It really does. I think most people assume, if someone performs a miracle or predicts something that comes true, they must be legit.
Right. That's the classic sign.
But these sources explicitly warn you not to make that assumption.
They actually turn that whole idea on its head. Matthew 24 and Mark 13 both warn that false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders.
To deceive, if possible, even the elect. Yeah. So the signs themselves can be tools for deception. They aren't proof of truth.
That's huge. So signs and wonders aren't enough. What's the higher test then?
That's where Deuteronomy 13 comes in. It draws this really important distinction between, let's call it, demonstration and direction.
Okay, direction versus demonstration. Let's slow down on that because that sounds really key. The text says, even if a prophet performs a sign, and it actually happens like their prediction is right, the miracle works, they still fail the test if they then lead you down the wrong path.
Exactly right. The source gives that exact scenario. A sign comes true, it happens. But then the messenger says, let's go after other gods. And the command is blunt, you shall not listen.
Even though they were right about the sign.
Even then, the success of the demonstration is basically irrelevant because the direction they're pointing you in is wrong or harmful, according to the text. The sources are shouting, look past the wow factor, assess the destination. Where are they telling you to go?
That changes everything. So the goal of the prophecy or the sign matters more than the sign itself. It's about who or what they're directing your worship or your loyalty or your obedience towards.
Absolutely. The direction is the moral compass, the spiritual compass here. And if that compass points towards, distortion or corruption or away from the core message, then any successful sign is just bait. It's a trap to win your trust.
Makes sense.
And Jeremiah 14 adds another layer. It says this lie comes from within them. They prophesy lies in my name, a false vision, divination, a worthless thing, and the deceit of their heart. It's an internal thing first.
So it starts inside and then they project it outward.
Right, and often cloaked in righteousness, which brings us back to the disguise.
Yeah, we talked about the sheep's clothing. And 2 Corinthians 11 gives that really vivid picture of the camouflage, doesn't it? It calls them false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ.
And the text even compares it to Satan himself transforming into an angel of light.
Whoa!
Which means the disguise is intended to look like the ultimate good, the absolute peak of righteousness. They master the look of goodness.
So they look like angels of light.
But the good news, maybe, is that the source says their end will be according to their works, which loops right back to the first test we talked about, the food.
Ah, okay, so the long game reveals the truth eventually.
Exactly. Actions and outcomes in the end.
Okay, let's wrap with one final warning sign from these texts. And this one feels really counterintuitive, especially today in our world obsessed with popularity and likes. Luke 6 gives this warning about universal approval.
The popularity paradox.
Yeah. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. What's that about? Why is being super popular potentially a red flag here?
It's a powerful final caution, isn't it? The suggestion is, if everyone approves, if a message meets absolutely no resistance, maybe be a little suspicious.
Why, though?
Well, think about it. A message that pleases absolutely everyone often has to avoid the hard truths, right? It doesn't challenge anyone. It probably just confirms what people already want to hear, the status quo.
So if a figure is just incredibly popular, universally loved by the media, faces zero pushback, the texts suggest maybe look a bit closer. Apply extra scrutiny.
That seems to be the implication. True messages, challenging messages, throughout history, they tend to cause some friction, not just instant universal applause.
Huh. Okay. It adds another layer. Measure consistency, not just charisma.
Measure the long-term impact, not the short-term ratings.
Right. So let's pull it all together. What does this deep dive give us? We've basically extracted three actionable tests from these ancient sources, consistent criteria for you to use.
Test number 1, the fruit. Look at the observable actions, the long-term outcomes in people's lives.
Test number 2, the doctrine. Check the message itself. Is it consistent with the core established texts, or is it subtly twisting things, presenting another gospel?
And test number 3, the testimony. What's their fundamental confession about the person of Christ, specifically the incarnation?
Yeah. And the big takeaway seems to be that the sources we looked at today really hammer this point. Outward appearance, how popular someone is, even performing amazing signs, All of that can be part of the deception strategy.
They can all be used to mislead.
So here's the final thought for you to chew on. What does it actually mean for you today to apply these ancient checks, to really focus on those long-term actions, the core message consistency, rather than just being swayed by flash or charisma or how many followers someone has online, especially with today's media figures?
Yeah, how do you prioritize the destination over the demonstration in the modern world?
Something to think about as you go about your day.